Here we are back in our shop, and today I want to take a look at the scroll saw. Now you'll notice we have two saws right here that are the same. We have a third one over here that's a little bit different. Generally in this class you're going to be using one of these two, so these are the machines we're going to look at closely. However, there is a place for this other machine. It takes a smaller blade that allows for a little bit more detail. So on a case-by-case basis, we will take a look at how to set this machine up. For today, let's just take a look at these guys. Before we get into talking about the different parts of this machine, I do just want to talk really quick about the purpose of this machine, what it is that makes the scroll saw unique compared to all the other machines we have in our shop. And that is its ability to make very detailed and irregular cuts. And it can make those cuts both internally and externally. And what I mean by that is you can drill a hole in your workpiece, feed the blade through it, and do your work internally on your project, and then when you're finished, remove the blade and leave your border intact. So here I've got an example of a past student project, and you can see this cutout work was all done internally, and there's a solid border all the way around the perimeter of this piece that is completely intact. That is the capability that the scroll saw has that no other machine in our shop has, and that's why we use it. Here we are at our scroll saw taking a closer look. So just like with all of our machines, this one has some primary components that you need to be aware of and that you will use on a regular basis. So first we've got the table here. You're always going to support your material on the table. You don't ever want to hold your material up off the table surface. If you try to do that, the saw is going to grab onto your material and start slamming it down into the table surface. So we're always resting our we're always resting our material on the table. Next, we've got our table insert. That's this red piece right here. And this is removable to help with loading the blade. But when you are using the machine, this table insert always needs to be installed. Next, we have our guard and our foot. And this is adjustable up and down. And it does two things. The first thing it does is it puts a little bit of downward pressure on your workpiece to help hold it stable while you're using the machine. The second thing it does is it covers the front of the blade, making it more difficult for your fingers to get into the blade and get cut. We've got an upper and a lower arm, and the arms are contained inside this housing. However, right here, where the upper arm sticks out of the housing, you can see I can move this up and down. Those two arms are going to support the blade up at the front and move the blade up and down when we're using the machine. Back here at the back of the upper arm is our tension lever. This is going to be used to increase and decrease the amount of tension on the blade and also to engage that tension. When the lever is in the up position like this, the tension is disengaged on the blade. To engage it, I'm going to simply flip the lever down into the horizontal position. Now, if I need to add or remove the amount of pressure on the blade, I can simply lift this up, and then I can rotate counterclockwise to decrease tension or clockwise to increase tension on that blade, and then I can lock it back into position. Here on the front of the machine, we have our power switch and we have our speed control. I'm not going to turn it on right now to demonstrate because I don't have a blade loaded, but it's a simple on-off toggle switch. And then our speed control is just adjusting this knob. Turning it clockwise will increase the speed and counterclockwise will decrease the speed. This is an exception. It is possible and safe to change the speed of the saw while it's running. So here at the front of the upper arm, you can see the jaws that are going to hold the blade into position. Now, I've got a blade here, and you can see right here up at the end, there is a pin that goes through the side of the blade. That pin is what's going to hold the blade in these jaws. So you can see here, I can feed this blade back through and slide the pin over top of those jaws and push it down, and now those jaws are holding on to that blade. We're going to repeat that same process under the table when we go to load our blade in. With the foot rotated out of the way, you can see the lower set of jaws down underneath the table that I was just talking about. They are located right down here and right here. You can see the slot in the center that the saw blade is going to slide in between, and just like with the upper arm, that pin is going to slide up against the jaws, and that is what's going to hold the blade tight when we're loading it in to make a cut. If you look closely here, you can see that the teeth on this blade are currently pointed down. It's important to make sure that when you load your blade into the saw, the teeth are pointed down, because this saw is going to oscillate up and down like a sewing machine, but it wants to do its primary cut on the downward stroke, like towards the table. And so it's important when we load our blade that we have our teeth pointed down.